Hello, my name is Matthew Landkammer. I'm a principal at Coraggio Group, a Portland, Oregon-based management consulting firm with a specialty in strategy development for tourism agencies. The New Mexico Tourism Department has retained us to facilitate a process to create a destination development roadmap for the state. This short video will share a little bit about what a destination development plan is, why an agency would choose to develop one, what the process to create such a plan looks like, and a little bit about the current state of tourism's impact on New Mexico's economy. At the end of the video, we will ask you to take a short survey. We hope we'll be able to gather your perspective on how you think the future of New Mexico's visitor economy should take shape. A destination development plan provides a framework and process for ensuring the ongoing vibrancy of a region's travel and tourism industry. Once completed, the plan details a shared statement of intent to manage the evolution and development of a destination over a stated period of time, taking into consideration the needs and expectations of visitors, residents, and industry stakeholders. Here's what a destination can expect from doing a destination development plan. First, it will help to establish a unified vision for tourism in New Mexico. It should also improve coordination across the full spectrum of visitor experiences, meaning the visitor's experience will be more predictable and better aligned to New Mexico's brand promise. It will provide essential context and guidance for long-term resource allocation decisions, information that is particularly useful for government leaders and policymakers. It will create cohesion and focus among industry stakeholders, residents, business and civic leaders, and policymakers. And finally, a destination development plan will help to ensure a vibrant New Mexican tourism economy well into the future. Let's take a look at the timeline for our destination development planning process. As you can see, the project is divided into phases. Phases 1 and 2 take place between July and October of 2019, while Phase 3 will begin in November of 2019 and will continue to approximately March of 2020. The project began with an in-person kickoff between Coraggio and the New Mexico Tourism Department in Santa Fe on July 15th. Shortly after the kickoff meeting, we submitted a data request to the New Mexico Tourism Department to begin to compile all existing data related to visitation and the economic impacts of tourism. The remainder of the discovery work for the project includes secondary research on tourism trends, 6 regional listening sessions we completed in mid-September to hear from tourism stakeholders in a variety of New Mexico destinations, an outdoor recreation study that will compare New Mexico's outdoor recreation assets to your competitive set, and a visitor perception study that will gauge the positive or negative sentiment of visitors related to key aspects of the New Mexico visitor experience, how those sentiments compare to your competitive states, and how they've trended over time. The gathering of all this information will allow us to perform a gap analysis and policy review that will feed into our report for the first phases of the work, our situation assessment. The situation assessment will synthesize all this data into a set of key themes that will focus the planning team's work on those opportunities and challenges that provide the greatest long-term strategic leverage for tourism in New Mexico. In Phase 3, we will begin our planning work with a team that the New Mexico Tourism Department will assemble. Over a series of paired work sessions, we will develop a long-term vision for New Mexico's visitor economy, understand your competitive position, and develop a series of strategies, phased out over the next decade, to improve the visitor economy in the state. Between meetings 4 and 5, we will pause to check our draft strategies against a set of scenarios we will develop. These scenarios will include a base scenario that will consider the most likely future for tourism in the state, and a set of alternative scenarios that contemplate less likely but more disruptive futures. In this way, we will be able to stress test our strategies to ensure that they will be useful in a range of possible futures. Once our planning work is complete, we will work with the New Mexico Tourism Department to document the decisions made into a document that can be shared with New Mexico's tourism industry and that will guide decision-making for years to come. We hope to be able to roll out this plan in the approximate timeframe of March 2020. Now let's take a look at some data about the visitor economy in New Mexico. All of this information, by the way, is available at the New Mexico Tourism Department industry page. We'll share a link at the end of this presentation. First, New Mexico's economy. In the most recent year we have data for, 2017, the tourism sector contributed approximately $6.6 billion to New Mexico's economy. Of that, $6 billion was from domestic travelers, while about $600 million was from international travelers. This represents a per household tax contribution of approximately $868, which is up 16% since 2011. Direct employment, meaning those jobs that are directly related to tourism business, was up to over 70,000 jobs for a 10% gain since 2011. Direct and indirect employment, it includes those jobs that are induced by the economic activity of tourism but not directly connected, represent a combined total of 8.3% of all jobs in New Mexico. Let's take a look at what we know about our visitors. In 2017, there were 36 million visitors to New Mexico. 56% of those were day visitors, while the rest spent at least one night in New Mexico. The average length of stay in New Mexico is 3.2 nights, and the average travel party size is 2.7 people. 64% of visitors report traveling with a spouse or partner, and 36% report traveling with children. Of course, there is some significant overlap between those two categories, and please note that it's merely a coincidence that those add up to 100. Nearly 2/3 of New Mexico's visitors have a household income of less than $75,000. Primarily, your visitors are road trippers staying in traditional hotel and motel accommodations. Sticking with visitor information, this map helps us understand where most of your visitors come from. The largest percentage, 18%, come from within the state. This represents people who vacation or take business trips from one part of the state to another. Texas represents a sizable share of your visitors at 16%, followed by California at 10%, Arizona at 8%, Colorado at 7%, and Florida at 4%. The remaining 37% of your visitors come from other states and international markets. This graphic shows some key visitor activities, what percentage of New Mexico's visitors enjoy those activities, and how that compares to the national average. Some of these jump out as particular strengths for New Mexico. National and state park visitation is more than double the national average at 22%. Likewise, visits to landmarks, historic sites, and museums are nearly double the national average. Hiking and backpacking doubles the national average at 14%. A couple of particularly interesting data points are Native American community visitation and art gallery visitation. 12% of New Mexico's visitors report visiting a Native American community, which is 6 times the national average. Art gallery visitation, likely driven by the strong art market in Santa Fe and regional art throughout the state, is nearly triple the national average at 11%. As promised earlier in the presentation, here is a link to the New Mexico Tourism Department's industry page where all these data points and more are available. www.newmexico.org/industry/resources/research. Thank you for taking some time to hear about our destination development process and to get a refresher on New Mexico's tourism data. We would greatly appreciate it if you would take the time to complete the survey at the link following this video. It should take approximately 15 minutes to complete, and your confidential responses will be sent directly to our project team at Coraggio Group. Thank you.